I literally don't have like any time to wait. Managing moderators. Okay, why is this going on? Okay, so I just don't have any time to record and then edit and upload right now because my life is just so busy. Why do all these things keep popping up? That's really annoying. So you're like live and then like all these little things pop up and then it just becomes part of the live stream. So yeah, am wanting to talk about it's going to be 5 years married to my husband and also living together because apparently the Dutch government thinks that that's like a different distinction if you are married and living together. I just thought like, oh, I can even add an extra distinction. 5 years married, living together, and sleeping in the same bed and bedroom because I think that's also like people who are married and living together maybe also sleep in different bedrooms. But okay, deep breath. Why do these things keep popping up on my screen? It just says make sure to community guidelines. It's reminding me 3 times in case I forget from the first time that I need to abide by the community timelines. And I just saw 111. So I'm like so busy right now. And I think my anniversary present from my husband is watching the kids to allow me to record this video. And I was really thinking while I was washing my hair about like there's just like the all the things I wanted to say just kind of came into my head. So I thought let's just say it now. It's a long story. So I want to share like how we met, our long love story. It's very complicated, lots of drama, intertwined over I think a decade. Also, it has to go with I think both of my careers with my design and business that we work together, which is Better Balls, which I'm wearing all of my designs right now. This is actually like my boarding school dropout cardigan, and it's a sample one, and it's still like I beat this thing up. I gave birth in this thing. It's just like I live in this sweater. I love this sweater, and I have these new dresses, and my cat is here saying hello. And so that's like the work part, but that's besides the point of the anniversary thing. Um, so let's get started on the story. I think we have to go back to how many years ago was it? What year is it now? 2026? We have to go back to 2015. And that, okay, bear with me now. Let's first backtrack a little more because I'm right now working on an article for EV Magazine to kind of talking about my times in the American college hookup culture, which then goes with kind of my YouTubing and my YouTubing journey, which has been, I think for more than half of my life, I've been YouTubing. I think I started when I was a freshman in high school on a different channel. I used to record like our high school football games and like drama exposés of our homecoming dance and put them on YouTube. And so I kind of, and then I was even dating a YouTuber, a Swedish one for a while. That's where I got some of my subscribers. So I was kind of in the early Swedish YouTube days, like in 2012, 2013, 2014. And it was really fun. He had like fans and I had fans and we like met up with them. And so that was a different relationship. I'm talking about my current marriage right now, which is, I'm really proud to say that this is like my longest marriage and my longest relationship ever. So that's why I'm so excited and proud about this because it's been a journey, especially now that I'm like writing this article. So we have to go back to college. And then I dropped out of college halfway through my junior year. And then this is like the article I'm working on, so it's really fresh in my mind, and I'm super excited about this article because it's like I think one of the most fun articles I've written, and I'm super happy to express myself in writing this way where I can really fully be myself because I think with this YouTube journey, if I would have continued consistently just making content across this time span that I'm going to elaborate on in this video today, I would not be able to have sustained it or authentically have kind of transformed to become myself now. I would have been performing for other people. So that's where I was going to get to. I was in Sweden because I was dating this guy from Sweden who was a YouTuber. And I moved there. And then I made this really embarrassing video that I just put public on my channel because it almost made me give up on this because I got so much hate for this video. And I kind of could not handle that at the time. So I just stopped. But now I'm back at it because it's just something that's always been very, very important to me. Something I always knew I kind of had to do, which was have a YouTube channel. And I'm really happy that I am back on it. So I was in Sweden, and then this boyfriend and I broke up. And then I was in school. So I was at Stockholm University because I dropped out of college. And then I went to Stockholm University. And then my second year of school, we had a mandatory exchange semester to go abroad, which was, at the time, I kind of fought it. I tried to see like, oh my God, can I get an exemption from this because I'm already abroad, living abroad, and I now have to go move abroad again. So I was like just settling into living in Stockholm, and then they're all like, oh hey, at the end of your first year, you have to already be applying and figuring out where you want to go for your exchange semester. And I was like, how am I gonna do this? Like, I'm just first getting everything settled into Sweden and Stockholm, and now I have to pack everything up and go abroad again, which I'm so happy I did now. But at the time, you're just like, oh my God, what do I do? Why do I go? So I fought it. They said, no, you have to go. It's part of the program you're in. I was studying business administration and political science, so it was part of the business administration part. So I was like, I was lucky because most of the people in my program, they wanted to go to the US, or they wanted to go to Singapore, or they wanted to go to Australia. So like the top students, they were all fighting to go there. And I'm like, I don't want to go to the US. Why would I go there? I just left there. Like, no, I don't want to go back. Didn't really want to go to Australia. I just was like, okay, I'm in Europe. Let's go to another country in Europe. So I ended up going to Amsterdam, which kind of changed the trajectory of my life even more than going to Stockholm changed the trajectory of my life, because now I'm back in the Netherlands. And so I'm really happy that everything conspired for me to have to follow the rules and go on my exchange semester. So that's where I met my husband on my exchange semester. I think it was my first, how many days there? It was within the first week that I arrived in Amsterdam that we went on a Tinder date. So I met my husband on Tinder, and I was realized I'm so happy I met him on Tinder, because the people I met in real life, they were not as like attractive as the people that I would like match with on Tinder. So I'm like, I think the internet and the algorithms are in my favor. And that's why I believe in doing YouTube, because I think that it's kind of creepy, but I think the internet may be better at placing you with people than sometimes I think in real life. So I met my husband in Tinder, and oh my gosh, there's people joining. Hello, people. I said hi to, it's hard for me to read it on my phone from here, but I'm saying hello. So we met there. That makes me nervous now. Now I have performance anxiety because you're here. So where was I? This is bad for my like flow. Okay, so we went on a date and we were in Amsterdam. So we met up at the Amstel station because he was coming off of work. So we met there at the Amstel station. I got my first bitter balls on the date, and I never had them before, and I was so excited to have this. I'm gonna grab my cat here so I don't like pay attention to the rest of this. So we got our bitter balls, and we were going for like, I had a really cool like local day at the Icebreaker, so that was really fun. And then that night I decided to go back home with him, and it was really fun. And I slept over for 2 nights in a row after that, and that was also really fun, and we had a lot of fun there. But our relationship didn't sustain too well. He was working and I was on my exchange semester in Amsterdam, so I was super into the techno scene there and going out until like 6 a.m. and dancing on the weekends, and he was in the beginning of his professional career, where he was working and flying within Europe to different countries, consulting, and really tired when he would get back to the Netherlands and Amsterdam on Fridays. And at that time, I really thought if it was like a red flag that he would only call me on Friday night and the weekends. And then he also, at the time, he was living with his twin sister. And so it was a little shady to me because I didn't meet his twin sister. I just saw that there was like women's things at his house. And so I thought he was like dating someone else. And he was just telling me, oh, yeah, my twin sister lives here during the weekdays and I live here on the weekends. So I was like, this is kind of strange. He's really busy. He's only calling me on the weekends. So why? And then like he was, and now I realize now in hindsight, it actually was his twin sister because that's something she would do. And so she was actually living there. But when you like 10 years ago, you meet someone on Tinder and you see like that he's living with someone, but then he only calls you on the weekends, that seems shady to me. And he also didn't really want to commit. Like I would kind of talk about like, because this happened. I think the term now people call it is like a situationship. I think I was in a situationship with him because he kind of would just be busy working and then call me on weekends, and then he had like another woman living at his house, and I would bring up dating, and he would kind of like skirt around the conversation. So I think I kind of just stopped texting him back at some point. So we just kind of sizzled out. And then he always kind of stayed on my mind. So this was 2015. And then kind of throughout the course of time, he would always like I would always remember our dates, and I would always remember like I would see his office where he worked, and I would see like his old apartment, and I would always think about him. But you kind of just continue on with your life, with what you're doing with your life, with yeah, I was not going to get hung up on this guy because I'm like, okay, there's all these shady things happening. Why would I stay with this guy from Tinder who clearly is living with another woman, his twin sister? So, I mean, that seemed really smart at the time. I was like, no, I really like him, but no, like, I'm gonna protect myself here and just kind of like slowly ghost out and stop responding. And then that happened. So then time goes back. My exchange semester ends. I go back to Stockholm, and then graduate from Stockholm. So we're gonna jump ahead in time now. And then when I was done with school in Sweden, I was ready to get out of Stockholm, and I decided to. These little things on the screen are so distracting for me. I don't like that. Okay, I'm gonna remember that next time I go live, that just like distracts me and gets me out of my head. So I leave Stockholm, and then I decide to, I think somebody's coming, and I decide to go back to the Netherlands. So I started doing my master's in the Netherlands because I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And I'm like, okay, at least if I do my master's, people will just like not ask me questions, and I can be left the F alone, just like studying. It made a lot of sense then because I was like, okay, I don't really know what I'm going to do. I have to continue with my immigration, so there's a reason for me to be here. Otherwise, I have to go back to the US. I didn't want to go back to the US. And so I decided to go to the Netherlands. And at the time, I was in a relationship with a German guy. And we met in Sweden, and he also decided to come with me to the Netherlands. So he came with me to the Netherlands. We went and lived together on campus for the master's program. He got a job there in Amsterdam. And where was I? Okay, so this is okay. It all makes sense, the story, if you just stick with me, because it's like complex. So before I fully moved into campus in the Netherlands, I had to take a math course over the summer because I'm just not very good at math, and they figured that out, that I was not good at math. So they had to make me pump up my math skills by taking a summer math course, I think that's the first math class I've ever passed. I don't know how I passed it. It was so hard. It was a lot of economics and algebra, and it was just hard. So my ex was living in Frankfurt. So I was living with his mom with him in Frankfurt, and I was commuting to the Netherlands, to Amsterdam from Frankfurt every week. And the my husband, now my current husband, he was we kind of stayed in contact. I left this part out. We kind of stayed in contact on Snapchat of all places. Like every once in a while I would send a snap, he would send me a snap back. We were snap friends. And so I snapped him that I was in Amsterdam. And then he snapped me back, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And so I think that was like my final reach out to him in that snap. It was like my, hey, do you still want to see me? I'm here and I'm going to be moving here and studying here. And he was like, no, I don't want to see you. So I was like, okay, bye. Like, bye. I'm with this German boyfriend. Why am I even snapping this guy? And so I stopped snapping him. It sounds so, it's so romantic. I stopped snapping the guy. And then I continued with my life with this German guy. And we did the masters. I dropped out of the masters because I didn't like that. That's a different story for a different day, because there was a lot of fun drama there. So I dropped out of the masters because I realized I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I was doing it just because I had no idea why I was doing it and I needed something to do. And that's not a really good reason to do something like your masters and spend a year of your life doing it just because, like, you need to do that. So I dropped out, moved to Amsterdam with my husband because we were living in a different city in the Netherlands, and I had a good time in Amsterdam. I did that, and flash forward to, I was at this point with my relationship with the German guy, and I was kind of like, okay, I'm living between the US and the Netherlands, and I'm kind of at this point in my life where you have to decide, do you stay in Europe? Like, do I have a life here? Do I have a future here? Do I have anything? Or do I go back to the US because my parents are there? I don't have any siblings, so it's mostly just my parents. So I'm like, and I kind of had this guilt. I had this guilt that I left my parents. Now I don't have that guilt. That's a different story. But at that time, I was kind of like in a situation where I'm like, okay, I like this guy, this German guy. I'm kind of between two continents. I'm still figuring out what I want to do with my life because I wasn't fully clear there. At that time, I was working with photography production. I was doing productions for fashion magazines. I was working also at like an influencer marketing agency. So I was going deep into like kind of the back end of influencing and influencer marketing, and being like really getting into like being on set with photography. And so I had that going, and it was really cool because I was in Amsterdam. I was like having fun. I had these really cool jobs, and I had that. But you have these times when you kind of like, where is the future going to lead? Like, because I'm a person who values my time. And so maybe I think that's important, because if a guy is just going to string you along or doesn't really want to like see where it's going, when it's so important with like international living and your future and yourself and what you are going to do with your life, then it's really good to kind of have those conversations. So after that conversation, we decided that we should get married. So the German guy and we got married, and we eloped at the City Hall of Amsterdam. And that was it was quite cute. I enjoyed it. Like I had it was a nice ceremony. I had a nice dinner with my parents and everything. And then I think that was 2019. And then December 2019. And then COVID happened. So like I think March was when 2020 was when things kind of closed down and like the lockdowns happened. So I was recently married. We had lockdown, so our honeymoon that we were going to do got canceled, like a lot of things did. And so we didn't get to do that till August. So of course the universe, I'll say, or just life, how it intertwines and entangles, happened. So I was on my honeymoon in August. We ended up going to this really cool hotel in Croatia, really nice. It's called the Lemon Garden Hotel. I can recommend it. It's one of those hotels that I actually really enjoyed. So I can confidently recommend it. I don't know how it is now, but at the time it was super cool. You stay on like this island and it was really cute. I really liked it. So I'm on my honeymoon with my husband, my other husband, and I get an email from this guy that I haven't heard from since that Snapchat. And he tells me that his inbox is full, and of course, like, he was trying to delete files, and I had sent him a bunch of like high-res images at one point, so that was clogging up his whole inbox. So he emailed me and saw how I was doing. And I'm like, oh, this guy, like, really? Like, what, he's emailing me? Like, no way. Like, no, like, this guy, why is he emailing me? And then he's like, how are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm doing like quite all right. I think I said quite all right. I was doing quite all right because that's how I was, quite all right. So not like fabulous and not like horrible. It was like doing well. And so I sent him that. And then I said, I'm still in the Netherlands. Are you still there? And he said, I just moved back because of COVID. I was living in Thailand. So he had just like COVID kind of brought him back because he was working there. And so he, like, things were shutting down and he decided to go back to the Netherlands during that time. And so eventually we were emailing back and forth and we decided to go for a walk. And I was like, kind of going into the walk, I was kind of just like, oh, he's probably like such a jerk. Like, he probably, like, here he was like this time before, we had like a super nice connection, but like, I'm sure, like, because like most people just disappoint you when time happens. I think that's like what I've had with it. You have like people who come back into your life from like a different time and like you vibed then, but then now kind of like life has changed you, so you no longer have like, you don't really, you fall apart just because you're vibing on different levels. Like, you are no longer like a frequency match. So I went on a walk, and then as soon as I saw him on this walk, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I just got hit by instant love. Like, I was just like, oh my God, I love this man. And then I was just like, oh shit, I love this man. Oh, help me, help me, help me. And I was like, oh no. Oh no. What did I do? Elizabeth, what did you do? What, why? Just no, just stop. Why do you love this guy? No, it's not gonna happen. No, there's no way it's gonna happen. You love this guy, you're married to a different guy. What are you doing? Why? Just no, you just don't do that. So that's kind of like what was going through my head at that time. So I was like, shit. And I got home from the walk, and I told my husband at the time, I'm like, I love Jakob, because that's my husband's name, Jakob. And my husband just looked at me like, my ex-husband, he looked at me like, okay, because I'm like, I'm not gonna hide this. I just told him, like, so I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do now, but this is not good. This is not a good situation to be in, because it's like, not good, not good. And I was super upfront about it because I didn't want to sneak around. I was just like, this is what happened. It happened. I don't know why it happened, but it happened. And we had to figure out how to work it out. And it was such a strange, it was turmoil. Like, it was so strange. Like, I went to dinner with the three of them and my husband's twin sister. So it was four of us having a dinner here. And then, like, yeah, it just kind of, like, I think once I had that moment and you kind of realize that you are in love with this person, it was kind of like one of those like those hard cracks. Like, your former life can no longer exist in the doing all right. Because with my ex, he was kind of the perfect guy on paper. Like, he was everything my mom wanted. And kind of, I think I married him because he was everything that my mom wanted and not like a guy that I wanted. So I kind of like he was kind of a settling guy, which I really like. I really wish him all the best. Like, he's a super great guy, but just not the right guy for me. And I think he also knew that I was not the right woman for him. And we were kind of together just because you are going through life and sharing those times. And so I think that's why this process of kind of going through this very complicated, strange divorce was so clean. And it was during COVID, so we could get divorced on Skype. So it was super quick. We had like a 10-minute Skype call. And then like the lady in the Netherlands said okay, and then it took 3 months and we were divorced. So it's kind of like within the scope of a month of this happening, the divorce happened, and so it was not messy at all. And I still wish him all the best and hope that he has found a woman for him and he is happy. So I wish him everything the best. So I reconnected with my husband. We fell in love. He felt the same. We decided to go after like kind of everything. So it was 2 months. We kind of had this whole shock of like where everything changed, and I had the divorce with my husband because I realized that I was supposed to be destined to be with like my current husband, because I looked at him and this guy, I was like the first time in my life that I ever was like with a guy, and I thought like I would really like to have kids with him, and I never felt that before. I didn't really want kids before, but then with him I felt that I wanted to have kids with him, and it's just kind of like I felt like I left my body and our souls merged. I don't know how to say it any other way besides that. And it was super beautiful and complex. So we had this moment where we rekindled after like 4 or 5 years where we first started dating, and we were both different people. And then we realized that we were like supposed to be together. And then I had this difficult decision where you have to decide like, do you go with this feeling because you have no evidence of this feeling, you don't really even have like a long relationship history, you just have like your whole life just getting turned around. And I had this friend at the time, and she was like, just go with your heart knows what it wants. And I was like, okay bitch, basically like you make it sound so easy, just go with what your heart wants. But I actually, and I was like kind of mad at her, and I told her like, you don't understand, it's just so difficult, like why are you just simplifying it so much? But she was actually correct. Like she's like, your heart knows what it wants, so go with like what your heart wants. And I'm so grateful that he gave me that advice. So I'm giving anyone else this advice, like don't kind of like destroy your life, but if like you have this moment where your heart is just like cannot comprehend, or your heart can comprehend but your rational brain cannot comprehend what's happening, and you just feel completely like, oh my god, I know this is what I have to do, that's a good sign, and you should go with that. But like be responsible and actually use like discernment with that, because it's like don't just get caught up in like a lust, because that's a very different thing. So don't get caught up in like if it actually feels like genuinely true, then do that. But if it's like you have to learn to discern like what it is, because for me I was like it was like I never had that feeling before, and then it happened. So I was like, okay, this is something serious, and I'm celebrating my 5-year wedding anniversary. So it was, so far I think it was correct. But so we had this moment, all this drama, this like divorce, this rekindling, and then it was during COVID, and I was kind of like, oh my god, I can't like be here in Amsterdam in the Netherlands anymore. So we decided to move to Costa Rica. So we kind of fled in Costa Rica, packed everything up, left my apartment. We decided, okay, we're gonna go live in Costa Rica. So now I'm like with this with my husband. Then we're in Costa Rica and exploring our like time together, and it was really fun. It was a really good time then. And then fast forward a little bit later, we were in Costa Rica for a while. It's a different story. And then we have to go back to the US for a little bit because like my dad gets sick, or my mom calls me that my dad is sick. So we go to the US and we get married there. And that was really fun. We planned the wedding like with my mom, and we got married in like a beautiful little garden thing. I'm really not a person who like likes big weddings. I like when it's small and intimate, because I think it's like a thing agreement between you and your husband. And I think writing your vows is super important, because you're actually like putting out there in a really beautiful ritual and symbolism of like you're coming together. And I think a lot of currently with weddings, there's a lot with like the wedding industry, and that just tries to take a lot of your money and exploit like your vulnerability of your like emotions and your like desire to be in love and have a beautiful day. And I really don't like when industries exploit that and make you think that you have to do all these things and pressure you into all these things and put all this pressure into making it a perfect day. I don't think there's like such thing as a perfect day. It's just a perfect day for what you want and how you want your wedding day to be. And it has to be I think the biggest thing is it has to be true to what you want. And you have to really think of like, is this what I want for my wedding day, or is this kind of what I think other people want me to want. I had that pressure more with the German because people, when said we were engaged, like everyone was trying to like put stuff and expectations on us, like, oh, can I be invited? Oh, this, oh, it has to be this. And we got quotes for like locations in the Netherlands. I think it was like 100,000 euros. I'm like, no, we're not paying that. I'd rather do something else. And I'm happy I didn't pay that because, and we just went to the city hall because at the end of the day, I just wanted to be like, I think both times I'm experienced here. I just wanted to kind of be with the person I was marrying. I didn't really want to do all of these things. And also, I didn't really want to feel pressured to invite people that I didn't really want to see at like my wedding and have all these people there and then have to talk to them and do all those things. That's just not my personality. But I understand how some people, they really want that and they really want a big party. And I kind of like, I would love to have some party at some point, but I do think there is something there with like the wedding industry and also like the beautiful tradition of getting married. And I think like the two have become so intertwined and so difficult to distinguish what is your own desire and what is like the industry's desire of like if it's something for marriage. And I really think that's something that I will ponder on after this conversation of like the wedding industry. Because I mean, I'm in the apparel and luxury and design industry, so it's kind of similar where you like realize like what does someone actually want and what does someone actually need and what does someone like are just told that they want because that's like what everybody says that you should want. And so let's continue. So that's my side rant about the wedding industry. I have thoughts on that. And those are probably controversial thoughts because like one of our manufacturers, I really really like him. He made these hats. He's in Pakistan and he has the coolest weddings that he does, and he sends us photos when he goes to them. And I'm a little jealous of the weddings there actually because that looks super fun. And so if that was like, I'm really excited. He's not married. And so he is looking for a wife. And so I'm really excited because he tells us once he finds the woman he's going to marry, we're invited to his wedding. And I'm really excited then to go to his wedding and actually go to a Pakistani wedding. I think that seems really, really fun. He showed us all the food and his family and his mom and like how everyone comes together in the whole community. And I think that's really beautiful. And like I said, I like, that's not the experience that, at least with my experience, that what you get with a wedding. So I'm just gonna stop with that side note and continue on. So 5 years married. So we got married. We've been married for 5 years. It's been really, I'm really happy. I'm really happy that we got married like quite quickly because that's just like, I think I really don't like the cliche term. Like when you know you want to be with someone, you kind of just like know you want to be with someone, but that's just what happened. That was the case of like, I knew I wanted to be with him. We had like this long, like flowing where we did not flow together and then we came together again. And then you're just like, okay, who are we kidding? Like, why would we not get married? So we got married. We have 2 kids now, which is, I'm really happy about that. And the past 2 years were difficult just because of like having 2 small kids and relocating and moving like 4 times. But I think the best advice I can give about marriage and being with someone, or my husband says this as well, he's like, it's not just about love, it's about trusting someone. So even like if we're arguing or disagreeing, because we do disagree often and we express that we disagree often, I still trust him and I still love him and I trust that I trust him and love him. And so, but sometimes you can like feel feelings that are not loving towards your partner because you're just like angry at them and they're just doing something that drives you nuts. But you still trust them that like you have each other's backs and we both have like the same goals in mind and the same things that we want from life. So you have that trust that like even if that your partner sometimes can drive you crazy, you can still trust each other. And I'm really happy to have that. And yeah, because it's like with my husband, we do so much together because we work together, we parent our kids together, we do a lot, and it's been really beautiful. And I'm really happy to say that because it was such a strange love story of like coming together, and it had like a little bit, I think, from other people, like a tarnishing, because I lost a lot of friends through deciding to be with him. That was kind of like a big turning point. I mean, I had a couple of turning points in my life. Like the first one was when I left the US. And then like when I left the US and then I met my husband for the first time, I was still very American. Like I thought American. I behaved very American. I had a lot of character traits that were kind of not really me. They were culturally imposed character traits. So I wasn't fully there with knowing who I was. I was still kind of discovering who I was, which is actually at the time when right after the divorce, because the time before my divorce and like rekindling with my husband, I was working on a poetry book, and then that book I probably would not have published if it wasn't for my husband now, because he read it and he actually really enjoyed it and he encouraged me to self-publish it, which is what I talk about also on this channel of self-publishing. And if it wasn't for him, I think I would have never published that book. I would have never kind of realized that you can make a decision that controversial and have no support. I had no friends who supported. My mom was livid. My dad was so mad. I had no support, and as soon as we got to Costa Rica, I published the book. And I think he provided me with that confidence to actually share my work, speak with people, speak with you now, to kind of go and be myself. When I was with my ex, I kind of knew, like he would always tell me, because he was doing Forex trading in Switzerland, he would tell me like, oh, once I have like a lot of money, then we can focus on like getting you like a gallery to show your work, or we can like do your thing. So I was like supportive for him. But then for me, I was always putting my priorities second. And like once he was successful and once I helped him get his success, then I could do what I wanted to do. And then when I was packing to move, when we moved to Costa Rica, I found like a note that he left, like a little manifestation note. It said like, learn to be happy with Elizabeth. So I was with a guy that was writing like he needed to learn to be happy with me and my needs would be second. And so when I found someone, I didn't even like, at that time, I didn't know that that was the case, but I found someone that I actually felt like happy with and that I loved and that I wanted to have children with. And I saw life with. I felt hope and all of that, that I realized that's super, super beautiful and super important. And I found a man that actually made me want to share my creations, want to talk to people, want to do this. Like now I do designs and I feel so happy and so successful that I do have a way to express my creativity and build something that I can share with you and share with the world. And I feel like with him, we actually have a union where we can come together and do that. And I'm so happy I made that decision. And I'm so happy that we have a beautiful family. And I feel so blessed and grateful. But like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna start crying. To get there was so hard. Cause it felt like you had to, like I kind of had to say goodbye to like the old person that I was and all the friends that I had then and all of the support there to kind of choose love. And it was completely unknown. And I think now that I'm reflecting upon that and going back to that, I'm really happy that I did that. But like, I was so afraid of like before disappointing people, or that I made that decision to marry my ex and then like 9 months later stop that. But I think at the end of the day, you have to learn to, I'm like crying and there's sun in my eyes, so I can't see like the screen at all. And so I think like you just have to choose your, like what happened to did this like turn off? Or like what's happening here? Is that how called me during this? So you have to like figure out what speaks to your heart deeply and really follow that. Really follow what you truly, truly, truly feel and what you truly, truly feel that you need to do. and don't let other people's judgments or expectations, or I think the biggest one is like you decide to do something and realize that like you learned and maybe that was not the right thing for you to do, and you can grow and reflect and integrate that to be able to go into the life that you want. And that's, I think, so much of my work is trying to use my examples of my life and the lessons that I had to really, that were really challenging to try and integrate, because I can talk about it now, like in hindsight, that I'm so happy that I'm with my husband and we're celebrating the 5 years together. But I could have been on a completely different life path if I would have just stayed with my ex-husband, because he, like, on paper he was like a perfect guy. Like my mom still, I don't think, likes my husband because she likes my ex-husband. And so like she still likes him better. But and she doesn't want to hear my opinion on it, that like just she thinks that because she likes him better, he was a better guy for me than me picking someone that I wanted to spend my life with. And I think that's what I'm trying to say here. Like, choose love, and I mean that like seriously, not in like if you're lusting for someone, or it's like if it's like truly the person for you, like you should go for that person. Yeah. And don't be afraid of disappointing people, because you have to choose your life and own your decision. I think that's the biggest part. You have to own your decision. And for me, that's really something that I really value in our marriage, because I know I actively chose my husband, and that produces such a way for me to know every day when I'm with him that I really am so happy and grateful to be with him, and that I really wanted to be with him. And yeah, I feel really happy with that. So I think thanks everybody for hearing this story. And I'm just really, really oh my gosh, I'm so strange at expressing happiness, because I feel sorrow for being happy, which I think that's why I just write poetry, because it's like that simultaneous like happiness and sorrow that you can experience about something, because it's so beautiful, but then you're like sad that it's so beautiful, and then it's still beautiful, but then it's still sad because it's like it's life. And life is like those emotions simultaneously. And I really love those moments when you have those emotions simultaneously. And they're so hard to express with words. But then I try to express them with words and poetry, because it's like the way to synthesize such big feelings into such like concise words makes me happy. And I can just say that makes me happy because it's so beautiful. And life is so beautiful. And I think it's such a it's such there's so many forces in life that try to take away those beautiful moments, or that try to jade you, or try to yeah. But I think yeah, I find ending videos very challenging, because you have all these thoughts, and then I drift off into these thoughts. So maybe I'll write like a poem tonight about this. But I'm really happy those who joined me through this story. I'm super happy I got to share this story. And my like cat, he's probably gonna say goodbye. My cat Andy Gibb is going to say goodbye. He's so pretty. I love him so much. And he came with us from the US to the Netherlands, so he's an import. So yeah, I'm excited for my next story time with you all, and I have to figure out how to turn off this live. I think I just push X, but okay.